When Representative Jasmine Crockett placed a birth certificate and paternity test on the committee table during a live congressional hearing, nobody anticipated it would expose the president or send the First Lady to the emergency room. The gavel struck 3 times, reverberating through the grand chamber like thunder. The House Oversight Committee was in full session in room 2142 of the Rayburn Building, with most representatives barely paying attention, checking emails or murmuring to their assistants. Representative Jasmine Crockett adjusted her microphone, cleared her throat, and shuffled her papers. Her next words froze the entire room. "I'd like to redirect my questioning," she said, steady and deliberate, "and submit into evidence several documents regarding undisclosed financial transfers from a private trust that appears directly connected to the President of the United States." Several heads snapped up, others leaned forward. The chair frowned. "Miss Crockett, please remain on topic." "I am on topic, sir," she replied without flinching. "This hearing concerns federal transparency. The public deserves to know when a sitting president utilizes hidden accounts to support the secret existence of a child born outside his marriage." Dead silence. No shuffling, no whispers, just the mechanical hum of broadcasting equipment, capturing every second for national television. Representative Blaine Kessinger from Idaho broke the silence first. "Miss Crockett, is this a personal attack or a verified claim?" She lifted a slim folder and held it high. "It's not an attack, it's evidence, and I'm submitting it to this committee right now." She walked it forward herself, not trusting an aide, and placed it before the chair. Inside were copies of a birth certificate, bank transfers from a Delaware trust, and 4 pieces of correspondence, emails printed in full color with intact metadata. She returned to her seat as cameras tracked her every move. "Let the record show," she continued, "that these documents allege President Donald J. Trump fathered a child with a former staff member while married to the current First Lady, and that significant efforts have been made to conceal this fact from the public." The tension exploded. Aides scrambled, phones buzzed frantically. Someone hissed, "Cut her mic," but it was too late. The broadcast was already streaming nationwide. The chair looked stunned. "This committee is not a platform for political theater." Jasmine didn't blink. "Then maybe it's time we stop treating truth like it's bad PR." Journalists in the gallery were already tweeting. Producers were rewriting scripts. What started as a routine Thursday had just become the story that would dominate headlines for months. Representative Kessinger leaned back, studying her. "You're saying there's a child, a real child, and that money has been paid for years to keep it hidden?" "I'm not saying it," Jasmine said evenly. "The documents are. And before anyone in this room tries to discredit this with spin, let me be clear. I've vetted this. I've spoken to the woman. I've traced the money. And if you need more proof, I've got it." A murmur swept through the room. The chair picked up the folder and opened it, his hands trembling slightly. One of the emails had a White House domain. "This can't be real," one Congresswoman whispered, though she didn't sound convinced. Jasmine took a breath, already knowing what was coming. Recess. Discrediting, accusations of fabrication, maybe even threats. But the words were out, the documents were submitted, and the cameras had caught it all. Meanwhile, just 3 floors above the chaos, the First Lady was about to receive a note that would shatter her entire world. The folder sat untouched for nearly 2 minutes. It wasn't that the committee didn't want to look. It was that no one knew who should touch it first. It felt radioactive. Chairman Howard Greeley finally reached for it, hesitating as his fingers brushed the cover. The room watched as he opened the flap and carefully pulled out the top document, a birth certificate issued from a small hospital in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, dated April 28, 2011. Father, Donald John Trump. Mother, Layla Dawson. Representative Greeley's lips parted slightly. He looked over his glasses first at Jasmine Crockett, then at the ranking member beside him. No one spoke. Jasmine leaned into her mic. You're looking at the birth certificate of a 14-year-old boy. His mother was on the Trump campaign payroll in 2010. She traveled with the team during multiple trips between Florida and Nevada. She was listed as press assistant but never appeared on official staff directories. Representative Elias Monroe from Oregon squinted. That name, Dawson, I remember her. Blonde, early 30s. She disappeared after 2013. Jasmine nodded. She moved to a gated community outside Naples, changed jobs, bought a house in cash. Quiet life until the money stopped last winter. Greeley flipped to the next document, a bank transfer. $42,000 monthly, every month for over a decade, all routed through a trust that led back to a shell company registered in Wilmington, Delaware. And on the paperwork, buried beneath layers of signatories, a familiar name, Donald J. Trump, Jr., as alternate trustee. Representative Kessinger sat up straighter. You're telling us this was hidden through Trump, Jr.? Partially, Jasmine said. The structure was built so no payments could be linked directly to the president, but legally, the money had to be signed off by someone close. There are 3 people who had access to that account, all of them either family or longtime executives of the Trump organization. The third item, emails. The first showed a thread between Layla Dawson and a private attorney linked to the Trump family. The second, dated just days before the child's birth, confirmed agreement on quiet support and discretion. The third email was from the president's executive assistant, marked urgent, requesting travel arrangements for Miss Dawson and referencing her upcoming delivery. Chairman Greeley exhaled slowly and shut the folder. Do you have any idea what you're accusing the president of, Representative Crockett? I'm not accusing, she said. I'm presenting facts. Whether they're inconvenient or not doesn't change their weight. Cameras stayed locked on Jasmine's face. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't dramatic, just measured, controlled, and clearly ready for the backlash that would follow. You've verified the documents? Greeley asked. Through independent channels. 2 attorneys, 1 forensic accountant, and I had the emails verified by a cybersecurity firm before today's hearing. He looked like he wanted to push harder but couldn't. The preparation was airtight. Representative Monroe's voice broke the silence. Does the child know? Jasmine hesitated. He's been told that his father is someone important, but not who. He's a good kid, lives a quiet life, smart, plays violin, goes to public school. Her voice caught just slightly on that last sentence. It was the only moment she seemed affected. And why now? Kessinger asked. Why bring this out during a hearing instead of going through proper legal channels? She didn't look away. Because legal channels get buried when it comes to this family. I've seen the games, the silence bought, the fear. I'm not here for politics. I'm here because this child exists. Because Melania deserves the truth. Because the country deserves to know the full measure of the man still sitting in the Oval Office. At that moment, phones throughout the chamber vibrated simultaneously. An alert. Breaking. First Lady Melania Trump reportedly collapses inside Capitol after bombshell claims. Crockett's eyes flickered toward the gallery where a CNN producer gasped. No one knew yet where Melania had been when the story broke, but the fallout was clearly happening fast and in public view. Chairman Greeley stood. This committee will recess for 15 minutes. He slammed the gavel down harder than needed. Most of the representatives filed out in stunned silence, phones glued to their palms. Only Jasmine stayed seated, staring straight ahead. 3 floors up from the chaos unfolding in room 2142, the East Wing communications team had been preparing for a small press event with the First Lady. The setting was low stakes, photos with children, a literacy initiative, and a short rehearsed statement. A handful of local reporters were present, most of them more concerned with camera angles than national news. Melania Trump stood in a powder blue dress by the display table, her expression fixed in the polished calm she had worn for years. She was scheduled to speak in 7 minutes. That's when her senior aide, Marissa Langdon, came in faster than usual. No clipboard, no whisper, just a firm hand on Melania's elbow and a lowered voice. "We have a situation." Melania barely turned her head. "What kind?" "Crockett, Oversight Committee. She just accused the president of having a child with a staffer. Said she has proof, documents, birth certificate." For a second, Melania's face didn't change. Then her posture did. "What documents?" she asked, quieter now. "She brought them into the hearing. Live cameras caught all of it. Every network has the feed. It's already trending." Melania took a step back from the table, away from the children's books she was supposed to highlight. She raised one hand toward her chest, fingers stiff like she was searching for balance. Her aide moved closer. "Sit," Marissa said gently, but Melania waved her off. "I want to see it," she said. "Now." They were rushed into a side room, a narrow space near the elevator usually used for staff prep. A small monitor was mounted on the wall, already streaming the live feed from the hearing. The screen froze for a second as the stream buffered, and then Jasmine Crockett's face appeared, calm and unflinching. "Lives a quiet life, smart, plays violin, goes to public school." Melania stared. She didn't blink. The room was silent except for the audio of Jasmine finishing her sentence. "Because Melania deserves the truth." That part landed like a fist. Her eyes widened slightly, but she said nothing, just stood still. "Madam First Lady," Marissa asked, "should I call the medical—" Melania shook her head, but then suddenly reached for the back of a chair. She missed. Her knees gave out fast, faster than anyone could catch her, and she collapsed sideways against the table with a sharp thud that echoed in the small room. Chaos erupted. 2 aides called for help at the same time. A Secret Service agent stepped in from the hallway and radioed the building's on-site medics. Someone pulled the curtain across the door as cameras just outside kept rolling, oblivious. Within 2 minutes, paramedics were inside. Her pulse was strong, breathing but uneven. She came to once, mumbled something in Slovenian, then closed her eyes again. A staffer tried to keep her upright while another pressed a cold compress to her neck. In the hallway, the word "collapsed" was already spreading. A Fox News producer heard it from a staffer and texted it to her editor. By the time Melania was wheeled out on a stretcher, covered by a navy blanket, cameras had gathered outside the rear service entrance. They caught just a glimpse, but it was enough. Within minutes, Melania Trump collapses after live hearing, trended on every major platform. No one outside the building knew exactly what she'd seen or how much she'd heard, but the timing was impossible to ignore. Inside the secure medical suite of the Capitol building, she lay quietly, IV in her arm, eyes closed, face pale. Marissa sat beside her, her own hands shaking slightly. "She said it like it was nothing," Melania whispered, not opening her eyes. Marissa didn't answer. There was nothing to say. She said it like it was fact. Across town, President Trump's aides were scrambling to contact him mid-flight. He was en route from Dallas to a closed-door fundraiser in Boise, his phone supposedly off. But one staffer had a direct line to his pilot, and Jasmine Crockett's name was now written across every chyron in America. Back in the hearing chamber, Crockett wasn't done. Because someone at that table still thought they could silence her.